It was crazy too. I remember that day, man. I was getting a letter. I was writing a letter, and I hadn't heard from this girl like in forever, dude. And I was excited, and he was like, "Hey, bro, like, you know that they already know me and you're running the yard. We need to get rid of our weapons." And I had about like 6-inch banger. He had a 6-inch banger. I had a bunch of paperwork. He was like, "Hey, fool, let's drop it, fool, let's get rid of it." So I'm like, all right. So I take it out my ass, take all my paperwork out. I fished it with the homie from Visa, and I look back and I was like, "Hey, fool, let me get your shit." And he was like, "Hey, fool, you gotta go, bro." I'm like, "Huh?" He's like, "You gotta go." And so he breaks it down to me. We're arguing because on the basis of argument, I'm trying to tell him, like, "Look, bro, like, you're over here listening to this dude in the back that ain't seen the fucking light of day in forever, but you see what's going on around here, bro. You see that wasn't our fault. IGI has something to do with that. This is all getting out of control. This is all escalating. And you know they're questioning me, but you're supposed to be my brother, bro. Don't worry about them. They have their own brothers. You're my brother." And he was like, "Better you than me." And he swung that piece and he got me. He split my head right here, split my lips open right here. He put my teeth through my lip. He sliced my fingers. I got a stab wound right here. We got busy for a little while.
Do you believe he was there to kill you or just roll you out?
I think personally,
We got Jay from Renegade Media, also known on the streets as Manitas. Thank you for coming through, Jay.
man, thanks, man. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate the appearance.
It's great to have you, man, because we don't really get a lot of NorCal guys on the show. And you have a remarkable story. We've had the pleasure of meeting your wife, Tani, and your newborn son, Jeremiah. What a blessing it is to have a family, man.
Yeah, I learned to appreciate the concept of family when I took advantage of my family my whole life. You know, I had a mother that loved me to death. I had a brother who needed me the most, and I chose the gang life over them, and I prioritized the gang aspect over family all my life. So to finally enjoy it and understand what that love is, understand, you know, the concept of having a family and doing everything for a family instead of yourself, feels good.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. We spend our whole lives looking for brotherhood, and we try to find it in something we think is there, but oftentimes it lets us down. You grew up on what side of town in Tulare?
I'm from Eastside Tulare. I was from STL gang.
STL, okay. And I heard the East Side cats were beefing with the West Side dudes. How long did that war last out there?
It lasted a little while. Really, the East and West got along. And my big homie, Vincent Uranga, you know, he passed away. He was shot by a West Sider. And it instigated a gang war between East and West, pretty much between Northerners. And it was an ugly predicament to be in because, you know, everybody wears red. So, you know, you kind of acknowledge people like, oh, that must be a homie, but most of the time he's your enemy and you can't tell the difference. At the same time, we're going to war with the Southerners from Tulare. They were called wicked ass Sureños. So it was just one big cesspool of war and bloodshed going on. And I had just got into my neighborhood at that time. So trust me, I grew up just, as soon as I started gangbanging, I got thrown right into the mix.
And were the Tulare Sureños, were they under the NF umbrella, or were they identifying as Southsiders?
Nah, wicked ass Sureños, they were identified as Southsiders. They usually work with the M.
Okay.
At this time they weren't, but throughout the years they actually wind up having a big homie being made from their hood. But around this time, they're talking about the 99, 2000s, they had a lot of heavy hitters that weren't afraid to shoot people, to get at homies, gun down homies. They fought back. That was the one thing about my town that I kind of admired the most, is like it wasn't boring. then the Sureños from Tulare fought back.
And they flew blue, right?
Yeah, they flew blue.
Okay, so you have 3 different factions fighting over Tulare, and you end up catching a case and you go to YA, right?
Yeah, I went to YA in 2001. I went well before that. I did the assault with a deadly weapon with a baseball bat. I got a YA suspension because it was my first offense, but I kept fighting in juvie. I was surrounded by Southerners. I was surrounded by West Siders. Then in juvie, I wound up fighting everybody else from Porterville and Visalia the most. So I couldn't stop fighting. And they tried to send me to boot camp, and I didn't like it. And I was like, man, I'm bouncing. And I would just get off in boot camp, go right back to juvie, start fighting again. They were going to give me a break. They were going to release me one day. And on an ankle monitor pending my suspension, my YA suspension. But a Southerner from Tulare came, and I beat him up pretty bad, split his eyebrow open, messed up his eye socket, his eye. And the judge took me back to court and said, no, we're just going to send you to YA to finish your term. And that's how I ended up in YA.
Does Visalia and Tulare have a little feud? Is that
no? When the homies from Visalia, shout out to the homies from Northside Visa, they're good homies, but every NF that came out of Visalia has always been from Visalia. So they're always the big homies that run all of Tulare County. So their head's a little bit bigger than everybody else's, and their neighborhoods are pretty big, as opposed to Tulare, East and West are small hoods, and Porterville, ESV, VCP, West Aporos, small hoods. Visalia is like the biggest city in Tulare County, so they kind of think they're above everybody else.
The California breakdown as it relates to Norte and Sureño is divided where? At Bakersfield?
Bakersfield.
So if you live in Bakersfield, you'd probably ride Sureño, right?
Yeah, you're going to ride Southerner, but there's actually Norteños now from Bakersfield. There's Norteños in Mexico. You got Norteños in Oklahoma, Colorado, Washington, Utah, some in Florida now. So back then, that was the divisional line. But right now, you see a lot of Norteños in Delano. You see some in McFarland. There's a Norteño hood in Bakersfield now. So
have you heard of a Norteño hood out here in LA?
Nah, I don't think
I've never seen one. I'll be honest with you. I've never seen a northern cat out here.
If they do, they're just going to the Callejones, but other than that, you better take your ass back up north.
Right. Did you feel comfortable walking around in all red out here?
I mean, it's red is just like, to me now, it's just a normal color. It's just literally just about fashion. But even when I was younger, I wore a lot of red. But I feel comfortable because I know how to defend myself. I know how I'm going to react if somebody threatens me, but I don't come out here with no intentions to look for any problems. It's just, sometimes I find an outfit that's in red that I like, and I say, I'm a rock it, man, it looks pretty good. I mean, look, I got orange shoes, so I'll rock anything. I rock blue. I got blue sweaters and all that. It's just, to me, it's a dangerous ball game though, because what we're doing is we're identifying, our identity as, Mexicanos and Chicanos on the basis of a color, and we're quick to gun somebody down on the basis of a color. Like, that's how I was taught as a kid. Hey, bro, you see somebody in blue, more likely he's a Sureño, he's a Southsider, or he's a derogatory word. Don't even ask questions, gun them down. And that's what I was doing, stabbing them, shooting at them, all only on the basis of color, bro. That's how low-level minded we became, is that we can just sit here and say, you know what, he's rocking the wrong hat. He has blue shoelaces. There's a little bit of blue. I was beating up paisas just because they were wearing blue. And deep down in my heart, I knew they weren't gang members. But just because he was wearing blue and he had an LA hat that he got from a flea market, I was knocking him down. That's how pathetic, we were as kids.
You end up catching a big case in 2005, right?
Yeah, caught 15 years.
15 years, and you end up in some out-of-state prisons, Arizona, Oklahoma?
Well, not just yet. Well, I caught my case for second-degree armed robberies. I was robbing a lot of liquor stores. Me and my Codys, they wound up taking the bank. I wound up taking the stores in the local area, in the 559 area. So we get busted working for the big homies. And my first prison I went to was Sad FC Yard. And I walked right into a war zone. Northerner got celled up in Solano or Soledad. I can never remember what prison it was. And they were trying to do cell integrations. So the homie was white, but he ran Northerner. But they looked at him as a white boy, put him in a cell with a white dude. And they went to war. They beat each other up in the cell. The homie stabs him, kicked off a statewide war. I get to C Yard. I was already low level points, gonna get put up for transfer level 3. And my neighbors were 2 skinheads, and they pretty much beat the hell out of me and my cellie. We went to the hole for a little bit, came back out. The war was, smoothed over. I wound up going to Susanville. Susanville, they overrided me to Susanville because of overpopulation. There was too much inmates being incarcerated and all that. So when I get there, it kicks off with the blacks. So now I go to war with the Northern Cali Crip card and the blacks over ecstasy pills and some crystal meth. And during that time, Susanville said, you know what? These guys are causing too much problems. So they grabbed a handful of us of Northerners and just threw us in Arizona. That was my very first out-of-state prison in Arizona. It was a CCA.
I heard those out-of-state prisons are a little better. You get an Xbox, some other fringe benefits, right?
Xbox, PlayStation, porn, phones like crazy. Pretty much, they didn't know how to be COs. What they were just like, hey, bro, you guys run a damn program. We're just right here to protect you guys with this little can of mace. That's all they had was one little can of mace. Like, bro, we can eat that with burritos, bro. Like, that ain't gonna stop them ride. That ain't gonna stop me from killing somebody. So we took advantage of the situation. Inmates have a way to manipulate staff. So we were just manipulating staff, dude. We were having sex with the law library ladies, having sex with the COs. Some of these COs were falling madly in love. We were tattooing on the COs. So we had phones, we had dope. So we had so much dope, bro. Like, we would just sit on dope. I was just sitting on crystal meth when I went to Oklahoma because it was hard to sell. There was way too much. We just took advantage of that situation and ran amok.
You mentioned that when those skinheads and you guys got in that conflict, why were you riding for the Northern Cali Crip card? Wouldn't that be Crip business? Why did Norteños get involved in that situation?
What it was a homie from Sacramento. He was bringing in a lot of dope, and he was working with this dude that was a Northern Cali Crip card. He was a Crip from the Northern California area. Don't remember what city, though. And they had a business dealing going on. And somehow that business, the household approved of it. The authority in charge approved of it because Face was breaking off the house, money to the homies. And they got into an argument on the yard. And that black dude told a homie, he threatened him. Now, to me, at the time, I was the head of security, which was responsible for the squad department and the yard department. So anything that happens on the yard is my responsibility. So I was drafting up, plans of attacks, hit drills, how to go to war, training soldiers how to drop a knife on the yard out his ass, pick it up, putting bangers into the ground. So I see this happen and it gets reported. And I tell the homie, like, hey, bro, everybody get ready, bro. Like, this will threaten the homie. We might go to war right now with the blacks. Come to find out, the homies approached the Northern Cali Crip car and were like, hey, bro, like, you need to talk to your homie. Like, he threatened one of the homies. You guys got to get rid of him. And the Crip car said, no, we ain't going to get rid of him. That's between them, bro. It was a drug deal that's kind of being misunderstood. Boom. He needs to get knocked down. Okay. We gave them the opportunity to knock him down. They chose not to. So I sent 3 homies on him, waiting for the Muslim services, and when he came out, they slit his face open, and then it kicked off. At
that point in time, you were part of Nuestra Raza, right?
Yeah, Northern Structure.
Okay. The Northern Structure is the feeder group. We'll call it the AAA ball team for the NF, the Nuestra Familia, right?
We'll call it
the soldados.
Yeah, we're the foot soldiers for them.
Yeah.
And back then, Northerners were the foot soldiers for us. But the thing about it is, we were like our own entity. That's like the organization. That's the organization. That's the prison organization. We were something a little bit different. We were a movement. We were just a leadership. We were there to defend and protect the people from being taken advantage of by everybody else. So there's a big difference. It's a big line in the sand that people can't really grasp. So we're the ones that are just responsible for the yard. We're the ones that uphold the COC positions and make all the decision making on the yard.
And you make that decision independent of the big homies in the NF, right?
Well, back in my day, they were in cork and shoe. Now they're out, so they take over everything. But back then, they were in cork and shoe. So as long as I provided my reports and my prison logs whenever I get a chance, and I write them a letter every once in a while, 3-way letter, and be like, hey, bro, this is going on. He got whacked. These are some of the decisions we're making. This is the money we're making. As long as I kept them abreast, I did what I wanted.
But was it an obligation for you to send them way less and explain to you?
Yeah, there is an obligation.
Okay, so there is an obligation. And were you kind of being groomed to earn your citizenship with the NF?
Nah, not in the beginning. No, in the beginning they didn't come out with that filter till 2011. But the thing about being Northern Structure is that you got to be able to present a resume to them in the event that happens. The resume meaning, like, you got to take over multiple positions. You got to hold the authority in charge positions, leadership positions. So you got to be able to draft up a COC from the bottom, from the scratch. Like if you was to get to a new prison, you got to structure it into a household establishment, consider it a strong front. You got to shed blood. You got to make revenue and productivity, meaning you got to be able to be putting money on these guys' books and show them that you're an asset, a source of interest. If not, then you're useless. And they'll take that status right away from me. Or they're just going to send you on a mission. Like, look, if all you're good for is writing on pieces of paper and stabbing somebody, then those are the only two things you're ever going to do. That's all you ever become.
So to earn your citizenship in NF, you have to not only be a torpedo, a regulator, but you have to be an earner.
You got to be an earner. Most of these dudes that are getting made now, these new recruits, these young bloods, this fresh blood of new NF members, it's all because they know how to make money and they're bringing in dope. Back then, it wasn't just about that. It was like, man, can you actually run a facility without me? So I had to be able to run this establishment by myself without the presence of my upper leadership, the upper echelons.
And so, was your ideal situation is to get put on NF and to become a made man?
In the beginning, no. The beginning was a whole learning experience. I had to be trained since county how to run different COCs because every prison is designed different. A level 4 180 is different from a level 4 270. Then you have the level 3s that are designed totally different. So you have to learn multiple ways on how to become leadership and how to uphold leadership positions. There's so much training and exercises that I had to go through that I wasn't thinking about that because I still had a date. Even though I maxed out the first year to my 15 years, I still had an opportunity to go home. So I wasn't thinking about it just yet until they put that filter out in 2011. And I was like, it's something to ponder on.
Let's talk about that filter in 2011, man. What did it discuss?
Okay, it was called, I explained it on my channel, it was called the realignment filter. See, what happened was, like I explained my situation, there was a lot of NF that was the brass that got indicted in the Black Widow operation. They went to the feds. So you had a lot of these individuals in the feds still reaching out to certain prisons in the state, asking California state prisons to answer to them. So when I received this filter, it was all about, hey, all these Nuestra Familia members are, if they try to reach out to you, they're in these facilities, don't acknowledge them. Everybody in California answers to the respective regiment channel, which was certain prisons in the valley answered to Corcoran Shoe, the rest of the prisons up north answered to Pelican Bay. Then it broke down a couple more aspects. The very last aspect says any hermano and soul that has more than 5 years of experience as being a brother, if he's seeking leadership and citizenship, you can go to the back, be on the first thing smoking, catch a body, go to the back and begin your training. And that's when, like I said, you got to be able to present a good resume. So you got to be able to sit there and be like, well, how many prisons have you ran? How many people have you removed? How much money have you made in the years that you've been a brother? Well, on the C payroll, what carnales have you sent money to? You got to be able to break all that down, like with a substantial amount of information. If it's very small, like one page, they're going to look at you like, bro, you haven't contributed nothing to us. You'll get denied real quick.
In the NF, it seems like it's a very militant structure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they are.
Is there like a mesa, a council of members that run the show?
There's a governing body, and above the governing body, there's the inner circle. Then you have the generals, but there's a little bit more complicated. I haven't been well too educated on their aspects because I never made it that far.
What rank did you climb to?
When it comes to the Norteño struggle, there is no ranks. The bond number 8 says there is no rank and file. So basically, we're all equal members. It's just if I have more years of experience than him, obviously I'm gonna uphold the higher positions in the chain of command than he is because I'm more equipped. And I'm
by
more
seniority, yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And you were the key holder over in Arizona, right?
In Arizona, Oklahoma, and then I became second in command in SAT FC yard. My celly was the authority in charge because he had, I think, over 10 years as being a brother. By that time, I only had like 6 or 7.
You have to really earn your way in to the NF.
Yeah, you really got to earn it.
It's not just about bodies. It's earning, it's reputation. Your prison name was good. It was solid.
For the first 2-3 years, I had a good reputation. It was when I went to Arizona when I think I messed it up.
Let's talk about how you fucked that off, man.
So when I get there, the first thing that happens is we kick it off with the Southerners, 15 on 36, and we get demolished. But a homie catches a case, he leaves one brain damage. So we get put on lockdown for 30 days. And my cellie at the time was from Porterville. He was actually a brother that had more rank than me, should I say more experience. But he goes, hey, bro, you never ran a prison before? And I said, nah. He goes, go ahead and take this one. I'll just be the overseer, bro. I'll be in the limelight. I'll be on the shadows, bro, governing you, helping you out. So I started running it. I put together the whole COC, did everything according to the SEME program that we established for ourselves when it comes to education. But the one thing I couldn't get a hold of, I was talking to an NF member that actually brought me into the struggle named Bubbles, Sean Cameron. And I go, hey, bro, who do I report to? The thing about it is these were new facilities. So no one's ever even thought about taking these over. So now I got NF members from Cali writing me saying, hey, you report to me. Then I got the NF and the feds writing me saying, hey, you report to us because you're not in California, you're in Arizona. So I got pulled like a tug of war. And I was like, bro, who am I answering to, bro? Like, I don't get it. So I let them battle it out. And I said, look, until you guys figure it out, I got a prison to run and I got people to take care of. And I did that for 2 years without reporting. That right there is considered freelancing and going rogue. That was like one of the biggest cardinal sins you can commit against the NF.
So you were in their eyes not kicking up the envelope to the right people, but in your defense, you didn't know who to send it to.
Didn't know who to send it to.
Because upper management's arguing, right?
Yeah, they're trying to figure out whose jurisdiction do these prisons belong to. And I think it's because they knew there was a lot of money to be involved. We were making a lot of money out there. I just didn't know who to report to. So at some point in time, I got distracted with the luxuries. I got distracted with all the incentives and the privileges that we were just winning bad. Cell phones, everything, you name it, we had it. Dope, pipelines, having sex with women, we had it. We were benefiting so much, bro, that I actually forgot about this aspect.
You were starting to feel yourself as the llavero there, right?
Yeah, I was doing my thing. One thing about the Northern Structure program is we have to create a household establishment and a household bank. So the bank alone had $14,000 before I left to Oklahoma. So that's $14,000 is for if anytime we need to fund like cops, anytime we need to fund lawyers, anytime homies get snatched up, we buy them stuff in the bag. There was $14,000 in cash, and every member on the COC had a few $1,000s on their books just as luxury. That's how much money we were making.
Tell our audience what COC means.
COC is a chain of command. So you're going to have the authority in charge. You're going to have his second in command. The second in command is going to have 3 positions called Norteño Administration 1, Norteño Administration 2. Then you have the NT, which is the maestro. He runs the education department. The second position runs the yard department. And the first position runs the in-house department. And it goes down the line all the way to the tier securities to the manpower.
And what would your position be called?
Mine at the time in Arizona was the authority in charge. And in Oklahoma, it was the authority in charge until I got caught with a banger and I got transferred out. So I was just the overall authority in the hole and every hole that I went to coming back to Cali. But when I got to California and Sat Ev, I sailed up on my celly. He was already the authority in charge. So I'm the one that became his second in command. So I had to do different responsibilities than he did. I walked into yet again, another war zone. The Southerners blasted the homies and airlifted 4 of them. So I'm talking to Mondo because I'm the one doing the 3-way contact, but my celly's the authority in charge. They advised him that I was pending investigation for freelancing, for the money, for going rogue, not reporting for 2 years. And then I got like maybe 40-something individuals validated because I was allowing them to get tattoos, political tattoos that were forbidden. Because I was like, bro, this is my prison, my rules. I'm going to do what I want. I let the homies have their way, and that was it. So when that happened and the investigation was being conducted, they let my celly know, but I still was like, hey, bro, like, we got bigger things to worry about, bro. We're going to war with the Southerners, bro. Like, forget what he's saying, bro. Just figure out how to protect the homies, bro. We got to get ready. Well, around that time, a Mexican mafia member named Turi from Cucamonga writes the NF member and tells him, hey, bro, I need to talk to your homie. Give me his contact. I'm gonna write him a letter. So Mondo tells me, hey, bro, he's gonna get at you. And I'm like, what? And then sure enough, the Sureño program sends this kite that says, hey, man, this kite's from Troy. So we open it and it's signed by Turi. And he's like, look, bro, I understood what happened. I understood that my people caused the war. He's like, give me some time. I talked to your big homie back here, Mondo. He said, give me some time and I'm gonna replace the whole mesa. So I looked at my side, I was like, you agree with that? He's like, yeah, let's see what happens before we start stabbing these dudes. And sure enough, bro, that dude was a man of his word. I watched 2 Southerners get killed, And I watched maybe like 4 or 5 people get their throat slit open, stabbed on the yard, and he replaced everything just to keep the peace.
So he cleaned everything up.
Yeah.
But you weren't concerned that you were getting that kite? Like, no. Okay. So they came to you to say, hey, just stall out. Let us sort this out with the big fellas over here. And you're pending an investigation. And does the NF have a person that's in charge of that type of work? Like a investigator?
No, they just more or less, he's the regiment commander. He's the one we answer to for everything.
Okay. So explain to us how you fell out of the graces with the fellas.
Well, because another situation occurred after he took care of his business. We wound up going to war with the Southerners again, but it wasn't our fault. But before we can justify what really took place, the Mexican Mafia member told Mondo, which is the big homie that I answered to, like, hey, bro, your homie gave me his palabra. He wasn't going to do nothing. And look, he retaliated. In all actuality, it wasn't about that. We didn't retaliate. IGI did something that kind of instigated the situation.
Okay.
So it caused us to go to war.
Okay.
It was within 2 weeks. I couldn't get a letter to him to a 3-way. I can't have my people just on a snap of a finger, hey, write this fool. I'm over here trying to tell everybody, hey, bro, get ready for weapons, get ready for war. But he winds up writing my celly through his wife saying, hey, fool, just get rid of this dude. Obviously thinking that because I was the one 3-way in contact, I'm the one that gave my word to Mondo, to the Mexican Mafia member Thudi, that I broke the code and the agreement that they had in the back. I'm the one that gets blasted for it. So my celly took advantage of the opportunity.
You were on the front lines trying to handle more pertinent business. You weren't worried about all the high level politics.
Yeah, there was an aspect. See, what happened was around I believe it was October or November 2011, my cousin got killed by the NF on the streets for not paying taxes. Now my cousin was a homie, but he wound up developing a business and having a family. So he was never political. He was just like, hey, bro, I'm from the hood, bro, but I got the business life going on. Well, his business failed. A lot of aspects made it fail. So he was struggling to pay the bill. So what he did is he picked up a sack like he knows, sold some dope, sold dope to the wrong individuals that reported him. They came back and tried to tax him for his dope. He started laughing like, bro, I ain't paying taxes to you. I don't even know what taxes. He didn't have no idea what taxes were. They wind up jumping him. He beats him up. They leave, come back, and they kill my cousin, shoot him in the face multiple times, over $40 worth of dope. So what I did around that time is none of this happened. All these riots that kicked off was in 2012 of January. This happened in 2011. I wrote Mondo. Now I'm talking about years of experience, years of working with NF members. I wrote Mondo. I was like, hey, bro, I want this shit investigated, and I want those fools deemed, bro. They killed my cousin. My cousin was my homie. Mondo tells me back, he's like, hey, bro, that's street business, bro. You're a Norteño. Your struggle's behind the walls. What happens on the streets don't concern you. So go back to work. And I took it personal. I was like, so never mind that I'm my cousin. Never mind what I do for you. I'm asking you for one favor. You guys been asking me for favors for the last 7 years. And the one time I asked for a favor, you deny me? So I kind of was just like, man, that's why I was ignoring them. I was like, bro, I ain't answering that for. I ain't answering their questions. I ain't answering their investigations. Forget all that, bro. I'm going to take care of business out here. And that's when my head was kind of like, bro, I don't answer to nobody but myself. Led to my downfall.
The treachery in this life, you've experienced it firsthand. Mm-hmm. And how did they roll you off the yard, bro?
My celly, he disarmed me. It was crazy too. I remember that day, man. I was getting a letter. I was writing a letter. And I hadn't heard from this girl in forever, dude. And I was excited. And he was like, hey, bro, that they already know me and you're running the yard. We need to get rid of our weapons. And I had about a 6-inch banger. He had a 6-inch banger. I had a bunch of paperwork. He was like, hey, fool, let's drop it, fool, let's get rid of it. So I'm like, all right. So I take it out my ass, take all my paperwork out. I fished it with the homie from Visa. And I looked back and I was like, hey, fool, let me get your shit. And he was like, hey, fool, you got to go, bro. I'm like, huh? He's like, you got to go. And so he breaks it down to me. We're arguing because on the basis of argument, I'm trying to tell him, look, bro, you're over here listening to this dude in the back that ain't seen the fucking light of day in forever, but you see what's going on around here, bro. You see that wasn't our fault. IGI has something to do with that. This is all getting out of control. This is all escalating. And you know they're questioning me, but you're supposed to be my brother, bro. Don't worry about them. They have their own brothers. You're my brother. And he was like, better you than me. And he swung that piece and he got me. He split my head right here, split my lips open right here. He put my teeth through my lip. He sliced my fingers. I got a stab wound right here. We got busy for a little while.
Were you able to get a hold of the knife, or was it a struggle for the knife?
Well, that's why my fingers got sliced, because he swung and I tried to catch it and it slid through. And I was like, it fucking hurt. So I grabbed his hand real quick and I held it, and he was socking me in the face and I was just holding him like that. Like, man, I'm gonna let him hit me. But he was a big boy. So, you know, he gassed out pretty fast. And then he sat at the end of the desk, and I seen the COs were coming for showers. And I was like, damn, bro, like I didn't want to go out like that. So I was like, there's blood everywhere, bro. So I was cleaning the blood with a towel. I flushed the bangers, and then I'm trying to clean the blood. And there was 3 cells. We were the 4th cell. All 3 of them refused. So they walked right up to me before I can clean everything up, and I'm just leaking out of my head. And when he seen it, pressed the button. They asked me what happened, and I was like, nothing happened, bro. Nothing happened.
I slipped and fell, sir.
I told him it was a burpee routine. He was a sergeant, and he goes, yeah, I remember he crossed his arms, and he was like, bro, I've worked this fucking shit for 25 years. I've never seen somebody get beat up over a burpee routine. He said something like that, and I started laughing. I was like, I ain't got shit to say, fool. And they sent me to the hole.
They read between the lines, and you tried to hold the code to the very end.
But yeah, nobody wants to go to SNY.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
So you were like, damn, man, they sent my cellmate, my brother.
And you know what's crazy is that I hooked him up with that girl that he got that letter from. That's my cousin. So they're married now. And she's the one that 3-wayed the letter to him to hit me, and she didn't even know it. And I just tripped out on that shit. Like, dude, I hooked you up with the girl that you're in love with now, that takes care of you every day. And you were quick to betray me once they told you, hey, get rid of him. But that's how treacherous this game is. Like, we can love each other to death as brothers, but when they say it's time to go,
it's time to go.
You're going to turn on them.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. If the situation was reversed, would you have put that filero in him or no?
Nah, because I know the circumstances. There's more to the story that's hard to put out, but I know the circumstances. We were going through a lot. I would have defended his honor. But sometimes, you know.
But would they have put steel in your neck for not carrying out that mission?
Of course. Once you deny them that. But at the end of the day, like, I wasn't working for them. I was just reporting to them. That's how I always looked at it. Like, bro, you're not my boss, bro. You're just the person that I report to let you know what's going on. My brotherhood is what I belong to. The northern structure, Norteño struggle was what I belonged to. This is what I believed in. You have your own organization. I don't belong to that.
When he was gassed out, sitting on the bunk or the desk or whatever, and you were cleaning up the blood, did you look at him and go, why, bro? Why'd you do this?
Nah, no. I was in a panic because, dude, we had just went on lockdown.
It happened all quickly, right?
Yeah, so I was like, dude, like they didn't announce it, hey, shower time or nothing. So I'm like, oh shit, he's coming up the stairs, bro. And I'm grabbed a floor towel, I'm trying to clean it up. He's not even helping me. Other than giving me the banger to flush it, he gave me that and I flushed it. It was easy as that. And so,
do you believe he was there to kill you or just roll you out?
I think personally, because before this happened, we used to get high on meth a lot in the cell, and we would always talk about that filter. And that was always his subject matter. He wanted to talk about it like, hey, bro, I'm thinking about doing it. I got life, bro. I ain't got nothing to lose. I want to be a big homie. So I think the next thing smoking, bro, I'm going to give you the yard and you can run the yard and I'll go do it. And in my head, I'm like, bro, you sure you want to do that, bro? All right, then. And so I think to him, as long as him doing it was his opportunity to go to the back, plus he shedded blood on the way back, he had a great resume to present. So I think he wanted to do it just to get made.